Discover the amazing ginger secret. Transform your sleep in just 2 nights. You won't believe how. Sarah rubbed her temples, wincing at the gnawing headache that formed from yet another night of restless sleep. The pressures of a community nurse and a single mother loomed over her like a thunderstorm, darkening her thoughts and clouding her judgment. Her daughter, Lily, had turned into a tempest of teenage angst. Their once bright conversations had dwindled to sharp exchanges and silences thick enough to slice through. The irony wasn't lost on Sarah. She dedicated her life to nurturing others, but found her own home increasingly hostile. In her grandmother's recipe box, she stumbled upon a note stuffed between the faded cards, titled simply Ginger Remedy. The letters danced with nostalgia, a promise from a bygone era where a steaming cup of ginger tea could lull the world into calm. Skeptical, yet desperate, who better to cling to in a crisis than a family tradition? She brewed a cup that night, the steam curling through the air like a beckoning finger. She hesitated. Could a spice transform the chaos surrounding her? As the warm undertones coursed through her, she felt the edges of her tension soften. Memories of laughter drifting across their dinner table floated back, but relief felt tentative and fragile. As the days passed with her newfound ritual, something extraordinary happened. Sarah began to sleep, and each day surged with an unexpected vitality. They would sit together over dinner, the air filled with warmth rather than silence. Yet, tucked in those moments of joy was the burgeoning bloom of anxiety planted within her mind. At a recent community health meeting, Mark, a local health official renowned for his strict adherence to established medical practices, questioned her out of the blue. His piercing gaze made it clear he was not there to exchange pleasantries. Do you really think playing with home remedies is the answer? What about the integrity of our health standards? His implication was sharp, questioning not just her ability as a nurse, but the very fabric of her mothering, and each word struck her like a cold wave knocking her off a buoy. Sarah felt the weight of her grandmother's teachings bearing down on her, echoing in the back of her mind. Should she reveal her secret? Could she afford the risk her choice carried? The truths about alternative remedies felt underappreciated, though it was Emma's legacy she feared losing. The stirring feelings churned within her, a discord that signified more than just personal doubt. It was a fight against judgment, scrutiny, and the darker shades of societal expectations. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she stood before the audience, every muscle in her body coiled tight. She knew she wasn't just advocating for her remedy, but the embracing of ancestral wisdom in a world that often dismissed it as trivial. Mark's presence loomed like a storm cloud, his skepticism a force determined to undermine her journey. Was she truly prepared to share her experience? The echo of her grandmother's voice urged strength, yet the specter of disapproval from Mark loomed large. With her breath caught and pulse racing, she began, "What if we opened our minds to the hidden treasures of our past?" Her voice steadied. Vulnerability dripped from her words, yet the questions in the crowd shifted from curiosity to defense. Are you really suggesting we abandon proven science for your grandmother's home remedy? The tension surged, every heartbeat adding to the turmoil playing out within her. This moment was larger than her struggles with sleepless nights or a frustrated teenage daughter. The choice loomed: was she brave enough to reveal the depths of hope found in tradition despite the judgment? The decision hung heavy like a pendulum, leaving her heart in turmoil as the audience waited. With each heartbeat, Sarah felt the weight of countless eyes. The crowd's murmurs became a tidal wave of expectation, and in that moment, she felt the fabric of her identity unraveling at the seams. The echo of Mark's voice rang in her ears, relentless and critical, threatening the small spark of confidence that had begun igniting within her. It wasn't just a remedy at stake, it was her own credibility, her right to stand up for something that could change lives, perhaps even her own. I'm not asking you to abandon science. I'm asking you to consider that hope often springs from the roots of our heritage, she continued, her voice breaking through the rising doubt. Each word was a step into uncharted territory, her professional training battling against the generations of wisdom passed down through her family. As she spoke, she felt a stirring sense of empowerment. Unlike the sterile walls of hospitals, where every decision was dictated by protocols and guidelines, the kitchen whispered tales of resilience. The warmth of ginger tea was more than a remedy. It was an embodiment of love, nurturing, and the very essence of care that she had always practiced as a nurse. Mark's hardened expression remained, but now, it felt less like an obstacle and more like a challenge. His lack of understanding ignited a fire within her, pushing her to confront not only him but her own self-doubt, the part of her that feared being categorized as foolish or reckless. The room fell silent, tension thick as she considered her next point. This was about personal growth and acceptance for her, for Lily, and for those who often looked past the comfort found in family traditions. We grow accustomed to viewing everything through a clinical lens, but there is undeniable power in personal experience and connection. Sarah pressed on, striking a balance between science and tradition, her passion weaving through the air like tendrils of steam from her beloved tea. She took a breath, letting the words settle, waiting for the inevitable response from her critics, especially Mark. Rather than recoiling, a uniformed nurse leaned forward, interest piqued. "What results have you seen?" This opened the door, and her heart soared. A shift was happening, a glimmer of acknowledgement. After recounting her journey, the positive changes in her sleep and the reconnection with Lily, Sarah felt the walls begin to soften. Hope cannot be confined to a lab. It exists in our stories, in the remedies passed down through generations, she concluded, daring to meet Mark's gaze. His stare was unwavering, but now it flickered with curiosity rather than mere judgment. She knew the battle was far from over. This wasn't just about one meeting or one remedy. It was the beginning of a much larger conversation, one that would challenge not just her professional world, but her personal life as well. As she stepped down from the stage, adrenaline coursed through her veins, paralleled only by the intense pride swelling in her chest. The unspoken anxieties about Lily remained. Their relationship felt precarious despite the evening's successes. Yet, something vital had begun to shift in Sarah. She was no longer just a nurse or a mother defined by circumstance. She was stepping into her own, reclaiming the voices of the women who had come before her. Soon, she would need to engage Lily in this journey of rediscovery, encouraging her daughter to explore the blend of tradition and modernity. But would their differences allow for a shared understanding or only deepen the divide? The next chapter of Sarah's journey loomed ahead like a foggy horizon, both inviting and intimidating. Would she possess the courage to bridge her past experiences with her present challenges? Could she become the mother Lily needed while redefining her boundaries as a nurse? Sarah stood outside the auditorium, her pulse still quickened from the impassioned speech. Addressing the room had shaken loose a part of herself that had remained dormant for too long. Yet, that exhilarating feeling was quickly eclipsed by the deeper uncertainties that lay ahead with Lily. The drive home was a blur, punctuated only by the hum of her tires on the asphalt and the remnants of her earlier adrenaline. She glanced at the rearview mirror, catching a flicker of her reflection, an image that seemed both familiar yet foreign. It was a face that had harbored self-doubt, always striving to meet the expectations of practicality over passion. As she approached the driveway, she recognized that something fundamental needed to change in her career, yes, but more urgently, in her relationship with her daughter. Lily was sprawled across the living room couch, earbuds nestled in her ears, scrolling through her phone. Sarah's heart twisted with a mix of pride for her daughter's independence and fear of the growing distance between them. She wanted to reach out, to bridge that chasm with understanding, but the right words remained elusive. "Hey, can we talk?" Sarah ventured, her voice soft, barely a whisper against the droning music. Lily glanced up, pulling the earbuds out. "About what?" she replied, arching an eyebrow. Sarah gestured to a nearby chair, feeling the familiar rush of anxiety creep back into her chest. "I had a meeting today. It was intense," she began, feeling the need to articulate her experience clearly, grounding it in something tangible. "What, like a work thing?" Lily asked, her posture rigid, as if bracing for a lecture rather than a genuine conversation. Sort of. I shared some thoughts on combining traditional remedies with modern medicine. Sarah hesitated, sensing the skepticism in her daughter's stance. I talked about the ginger tea we used to make together. Lily's expression hardened. You mean the tea you think will cure everything? It's just tea, Mom. The words stung, creating an electric tension in the air. Sarah inhaled, determined not to retreat. It's not just about the tea, she pressed. It's about understanding our ties to heritage, the stories behind those remedies. They hold meaning and comfort. Lily scoffed, folding her arms. You really think your little stories can solve actual problems? Sometimes science is the only thing that works. Instantly, Sarah felt the weight of judgment, of being cast as the naive dreamer struggling against an unforgiving reality. But she fought to retain her composure. And I think there is validity in both scientific and personal. It's not foolish to blend them, Lily. Life isn't tea always black and white. The silence stretched between them, thick and palpable. Their contrasting views mirrored her own inner conflict. The nurse in her clinging to established practices against the instinctual nourishment from tradition. How did she find harmony in this cacophony within herself? Taking a cautious breath, Sarah outlined her desire to introduce those remedies to others, seeing them not as alternatives, but as complements. She imagined Lily, potentially involved in the process. Wouldn't it be exciting to unpack this together? She asked, pressing herself to be genuine and open rather than overbearing. Yet beneath her hopeful gaze lurked a flicker of doubt. Would her daughter recoil further? Would she see this as another instance of her mother trying to control her life? As Lily's brow furrowed in contemplation, Sarah's heart raced. This was the moment where their paths could entwine or further diverge. If she could inspire curiosity in Lily, could they redefine their relationship? But there was still a long road ahead. The choice lay not just with her, but also with Lily, who had her own journey of self-discovery to navigate. Sarah knew deep down that change would not mirror the easy flow of tea being poured, but rather the careful unearthing of roots that might threaten to tangle and uproot. Each step forward would demand trust, and she wasn't sure she had enough yet. The tension lingered in the air, unspoken decisions awaiting their moment. Would they step boldly towards understanding or lean into the comfort of their separate truths? Sarah understood that this was just the beginning, and as they each considered their next moves, the atmosphere grew charged with possibility. There was a chance to confront her greatest fear, stepping fully into the unknown with her daughter. But could she remain anchored to her newfound sense of self amid the challenges they might face together? The following morning found Sarah staring blankly at her computer screen, the cursor blinking impatiently as thoughts scrambled through her mind. Her speech the day before still resonated in her heart, the echo of her own voice fueling her determination to pursue the path she felt called to. Yet there remained a nagging uncertainty about how to engage Lily in that journey. Would she be a reluctant participant or an enthusiastic co-creator? As she toggled between tabs on her browser, Sarah stumbled across a virtual seminar on herbal medicine's integration into conventional healthcare. A flicker of excitement coursed through her. This could be the key to not only her professional aspirations, but perhaps a bridge to her daughter's understanding. Why not harness the knowledge of others while also exploring her own ideas? She hesitated momentarily, wondering if attending alone would feel like yet another solitary pursuit, rather than a collaborative venture with Lily. But she couldn't ignore the very real potential of discovering new avenues. With an impulse driven by the need to connect, Sarah registered for the seminar and decided she would share this with Lily during their next conversation. She imagined the two of them dissecting the ideas together, equipped with steaming cups of ginger tea for inspiration. The thought transformed her anxiety into a heady mix of hope and fear, and with that mix came a sense of purpose. Later that evening, she found herself in the living room again, apprehensively breaking the silence. Lily, I found this seminar about integrating herbal remedies into healthcare. She watched her daughter's reaction closely, ready to adapt her approach based on feedback. I think it could be really exciting. Would you want to join me? Lily lifted her head from her phone slowly, her brow furrowed in skepticism. Really, Mom? You think attending some seminar is going to make me interested in that stuff? Sarah's heart sank slightly at the dismissive tone. It's not just about the information, Lily. It's about understanding a perspective of healing, one that combines what we know with what has come before. It's valuable. I just don't see the point, Lily replied, glancing away. Sarah felt the weight of past arguments bubble to the surface. She felt the urge to compel her daughter to present more data, more stories, but she recognized that urgency could drive Lily further away. Instead, she dug deeper into the sense of outreach, committing to authenticity rather than persuasion. I get it if you don't want to join, but I'd love to have someone to discuss these ideas with. It feels like a new journey I'm embarking on. I just want to share it. The silence that followed was thick with contemplation. As Lily stared at her phone, Sarah's internal dialogue wrestled with the gathering storm inside her. What if this was a repeat of their predictable cycles, a missed opportunity to connect? She pushed those thoughts aside, focusing instead on the possibility of inviting a genuine exploration. Why don't we just talk about it afterward? If it's interesting, I'll get on board, Lily finally muttered, her disinterest apparent, yet slightly swayed by Sarah's vulnerability. It wasn't the enthusiastic response Sarah longed for, but it was a flicker of openness. That night, Sarah lay awake contemplating the day's events. The prospect of the seminar loomed ahead, a doorway to merge her professional aspirations with personal growth. Yet, a creeping doubt began to seep into her thoughts. What if she failed to make her daughter see the beauty in these traditions? Determined to keep moving forward, she resolved to prepare herself fully, to absorb as much knowledge as she could, not only for her sake, but for Lily's. The fear of stagnation was no longer acceptable. She needed to evolve for both of them. As days progressed toward the seminar, Sarah absorbed herself in research, revisiting stories of the past, intertwining them with modern studies. A surge of confidence began to swell within her as she realized she possessed a unique voice, one that blended the wisdom of heritage with professional integrity. But as the day approached, she couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that she was still tiptoeing around the most critical issue: the rift in her relationship with her daughter. The tension built within her, echoing her new resolve while reminding her of the fragile hand she held in this ongoing dialogue. Unraveling complexities remained a constant in both her professional and personal life. All she could do was prepare for the unraveling, embracing uncertainty while striving for connection. As the midnight hour drew closer, she gazed out the window, the stars flickering like disparate dreams waiting to be assembled into something coherent. Tomorrow marked a pivotal step, but what awaited on the other side? Would her efforts be enough to reshape their relationship and usher in a new era of understanding? With her determined heart thumping against the quiet of the night, she whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning." What awaited them both at the seminar would not merely redefine her aspirations, but could also unveil new dimensions of their intertwined journeys, if only they could navigate the treacherous waters together. The morning of the seminar arrived, and Sarah's anticipation mingled with flutters of anxiety. She woke early, anxiously arranging her materials, mentally mapping out the concepts she wanted to convey to Lily. Each note she wrote felt like an attempt to bridge a chasm. The desire to integrate her newfound knowledge with Lily's world was as palpable as the aromas wafting from her kitchen, where she prepared ginger tea, hoping the warmth of the drink might foster an open conversation. While she waited for Lily to wake, Sarah meticulously reviewed her notes, her heart racing with a blend of hope and trepidation. How would she approach this dialogue? What if her daughter continued to withdraw into her skepticism? The pressure felt heavy, yet there was an undeniable clarity emerging. She was not just advocating for herbal medicine, she was advocating for understanding and connection. When Lily finally joined her, still in pajamas with tousled hair, Sarah felt both relief and a surge of urgency. "Good morning. I made ginger tea. I thought we could go over some notes before the seminar." Lily looked skeptical as she took a sip, eyeing the stack of papers on the table. "Are you really going to make me go through all this before we even start?" Sarah inhaled deeply, willing herself to remain calm. "I don't want to force anything. I just think discussing some concepts could help both of us see what this seminar is really about." She breathed slowly, hoping her words wrapped around Lily like a comforting embrace rather than a chokehold. Lily rolled her eyes, but allowed herself to settle at the table. "Fine, hit me with it. What's so special about mixing herbs with medicine anyway?" As Sarah began elaborating on the historical interplay of traditional and modern medicine, she could feel herself igniting a passionate rhythm. She delved into stories of plants used for healing, the science behind different remedies, and how they complemented, not replaced, conventional treatments. The details spilled out as she connected different threads of thought, an exhilarating unraveling of knowledge. Yet, as she spoke, she felt the barriers of their past misunderstandings rising like walls ready to tumble. Every tentative nod from Lily felt fragile. The moment required both precision and vulnerability. How could she be authentic in her passion while also aligning it carefully with her daughter's perspective? Halfway through her explanation, Sarah noticed Lily's eyes flicker with intrigue, a break in the earlier skepticism. So, you're saying these remedies could offer relief where conventional medicine just fails? That's exactly it. Sarah confirmed, excited by the openness. It's not about dismissing doctor-prescribed treatments, but rather adding layers of support. It respects the wisdom of tradition while engaging with modern science. All right, Lily said slowly, leaning in. Maybe it's not all boring. Vivifying this moment, Sarah knew it was crucial to capitalize on Lily's budding curiosity. How about we brainstorm some practical ways to incorporate what we learn? We can explore what herbs might resonate with you, perhaps even create something together. Lily's expression softened, and for the first time that morning, Sarah saw more than just a daughter who questioned her every step. She saw potential for collaboration, a chance to navigate this path together. As they pored over notes, Sarah's focus shifted from proving her point to genuinely creating a shared experience. The severity of their earlier disconnect began to lighten with each shared insight, and Sarah felt a glimmer of hope that perhaps today wouldn't just redefine her career, but reshape the contours of their relationship as well. But just as the dialogue deepened, a notification from Sarah's phone cut through the moment, a reminder of the seminar starting soon. It felt like the brink of a leap. Would nurturing Lily's interests amid the waves of past grievances allow them both to sail smoothly into this new realm? The seminar was set to challenge Sarah's understanding and professional ambitions. Would it also cement the foundation of a revived bond with Lily? As they gathered their things to head out, Sarah's pulse quickened with the exhilarating potential of fresh beginnings, intertwining professional triumph and personal reconciliation. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that, even in the most promising of circumstances, unseen challenges might await. The path of understanding is never straightforward. As they stepped outside, a chill in the air reminded Sarah that navigating this journey might ultimately reveal more than either of them anticipated, struggles they hadn't considered, revelations waiting to unfold. Would this be the moment of transformation, or simply the beginning of yet another complicated chapter? As uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud overhead, Sarah found herself holding a deeper question. What truly awaited them in that seminar? The air outside was brisk, a sharp contrast to the warmth of their home. As Sarah and Lily walked to the car parked on the street, Sarah sensed the growing tension within her. Each step felt weighty with the hope of connection, yet the fear of potential rejection loomed just as large. What if their brief moments of understanding dissolved as soon as they entered the seminar? Are you nervous? Lily's question cut through Sarah's spiraling thoughts, surprising her. Honestly, a little. There's a lot riding on today, Sarah admitted, her honesty a deliberate choice. Lily rolled her eyes again, masking her concern. It's just a seminar. You've done tons of these. True, but this one feels different. As they settled into the car, Sarah took a moment to collect her thoughts. How often had she held back feelings, thoughts that could bridge gaps instead of widening them? Today, faced with both professional and personal stakes, she vowed to be honest for her own career and for Lily. The seminar wasn't just about herbal medicine. It felt like an existential moment that could redefine her path and her relationship with her daughter. The drive to the venue was filled with a quiet anticipation. Sarah stole glances at Lily as they navigated the streets, noticing the subtle shifts in her body language. The way her fingers drummed against her knee betrayed her own mix of excitement and anxiety. For all their differences, they shared this moment, a duality of emotion. Once they arrived, the cacophony of voices and laughter greeted them, colliding with Sarah's internal thoughts. She briefly scanned the crowd, searching for familiar faces among the attendees, but Lily's apprehensive gaze fixed her attention. Mom, I thought this was supposed to be about herbs. Why is everyone chatting about wellness trends and philosophies? Sarah felt her stomach knot. It's all related, really. Health is holistic. Holistic is just a buzzword, Lily countered, crossing her arms. In that moment, Sarah recognized that defensiveness could stifle their growth together. She needed to navigate this seminar not only as a presenter, but as a mother who wished to illuminate rather than dictate. Well, how about we explore what we hear today and consider each perspective? She suggested gently, her voice calm, hoping to draw Lily out of her skepticism. Lily's brow furrowed slightly as she hesitated, processing this. So, you want to keep an open mind? Exactly. It's a chance for both of us, Sarah replied, knowing that openness could lead to unexpected opportunities. They walked into the auditorium, where rows of seats bowed around a stage. As they settled into their seats, Sarah felt her heart race with a surge of anticipation combined with trepidation. This was not only about sharing knowledge, but also about facing her own vulnerabilities in front of an audience and having her daughter witness her falter, if it happened. As the seminar began and the presenter spoke with fervor, Sarah's thoughts raced, trying to align what she was hearing with the principles she had prepared. Each new concept challenged her initial beliefs, pushing her to adapt. It reminded her of her own journey of the moments when she strayed from the familiar in pursuit of growth. Forcing herself to be in the moment, she looked over at Lily, whose expression had shifted to one of cautious interest. Then it happened. An unexpected comment from the speaker triggered a small wave of confusion. What if traditional medicine did not regard these herbal remedies as valid? Would her hard-fought understanding shatter? Mom, what do you think? Lily whispered, sensing her tension. The question struck like lightning. Sarah realized then how invested Lily was in her perspective, yet here lay a chance to not only defend her views, but to invite dialogue. Would she step into the unknown and truly engage with her daughter? I think, Sarah began, carefully choosing her words, that every perspective has validity. It's about finding balance and being open to learning from one another. As the conversation drifted deeper into nuances and contrasting opinions, Sarah felt the weight of what she hoped might be potential breakthroughs. Was this the moment of revelation, or merely the opening act of a more profound challenge ahead? Doubts lingered silently in the back of her mind. Would she find the strength to reconcile this new knowledge with her existing beliefs? And more importantly, would it help heal the rift with Lily that had been present for so long? The speaker turned to the topic of synergy and healing, but Sarah's mind drifted. Can we create our own synergy, Mom? Lily's voice broke through the haze, filled with genuine curiosity. The moment was electric, promising myriad possibilities. Would they truly begin to weave together their disparate strands of understanding? Or would their paths remain entwined yet unmerged? In that moment, Sarah felt a path opening, one that veered them both toward uncharted territory. And for the first time, the fear was there, mingling with anticipation. She would have to take a risk. But where would it lead? The speaker's voice wove in and out of focus as Sarah's mind churned, grappling with the implications of learning and openness. The moment Lily had posed her question, it felt as if a doorway had cracked open, letting in raw potential. Sarah glanced at her daughter, who seemed emboldened by her own inquiry. Could this moment turn into a breakthrough for both of them? Let us see how we can explore that, Sarah replied, her heart racing. It was an invitation to gamble that Lily would rise to the occasion. The seminar flowed, each topic layering over the last, a tapestry of ideas that pulled at Sarah's foundational beliefs. The words of the presenter ignited a flicker of rebellious thought within her. What if embracing new methodologies didn't mean abandoning long-held traditions? Could there truly be a synergy that transcended conventional wisdom? As the discussion drifted from herbal properties to personal testimonials of healing journeys, Sarah felt her internal landscape shift. She began to consider how she had approached her career as a one-directional endeavor. Each herb she championed had its value, yet perhaps it was time to confront the limitations of her approach. Mom, did you hear that? Lily's voice was a mix of excitement and skepticism. She just said that some plants have a placebo effect. What do you think about that? With each inquiry, Lily seemed less like the distant teenager and more like a hopeful apprentice, eager to glean wisdom and forge her own opinions. I think we should explore the idea that belief itself can be powerful. It's something we can't ignore, right? The words felt new to Sarah, almost revolutionary when articulated. The tension between science and belief had always hung in the air, but she had never considered sharing that grappling openly with her daughter. The conversation deepened as the presenter allowed space for interaction. Attendees were encouraged to share their thoughts, and the dynamic disdain that used to accompany such experiences now transformed into a rich discourse. "Let us do it," Sarah whispered to Lily, pointing to the aisle. Her heart hammered as they stood. Standing together instilled a sense of solidarity that Sarah had yearned for. It was as if they were crossing a chasm, albeit a small one, together. As they approached the microphone, Sarah felt the familiar swell of anxiety mixed with hope. "Hi, we're mother and daughter," she stated, voicing her nervousness. "We're grappling with the balance between traditional healing and newer philosophies," she began, stealing glances at Lily. Encouragement radiated from her daughter. Then, taking a deep breath, she continued, "How can we begin discussions about the power of belief in conjunction with practical techniques?" The audience responded with nods of familiarity. Sarah could sense that this was not just an isolated question. It resonated. She exchanged an encouraging smile with Lily and discovered something incredible. This was not merely a mother advocating for her profession. It was a duo in search of understanding. After a healthy debate, they returned to their seats, both exhilarated. "That was amazing," Lily breathed, her eyes wide. "Together," Sarah affirmed, feeling the lightness of newfound connection. But the spark lit a tense ember in Sarah's mind. Had they merely scratched the surface? Discussion ignited, and the seminar unfolded endlessly, but apprehension gripped her once more. Would embracing this newfound dialogue lead to deeper complexities in their relationship? What if all this introspective thinking uncovered more than she was prepared to confront? The speaker leaned into a discussion about healing narratives, and as the words washed over them, Sarah felt her resolve deepen. Was it time for her to craft a new narrative, not just for herself, but alongside her daughter? Every answer seemed to breed new questions, propelling Sarah further into the realm of uncertainty. She had faced external antagonists, but now, the hardest confrontation stood before her, an evolution of values and beliefs that could redefine not only her professional life, but her entire relationship with Lily. "Mom, can we talk more about this synergy idea when we get home?" Lily asked, and Sarah inhaled deeply, feeling both fear and exhilaration collide in her heart. "Absolutely," Sarah replied, a resolve building within her. Their paths finally converged, and as they moved through the dense anticipation of the seminar, Sarah realized they were just beginning to delve into a world ripe with complexity. The journey ahead would test their trust, their beliefs, and their ability to adapt. But now, rather than stepping into the unknown with trepidation, Sarah felt a surge of possibility. What awaited them back home? Would their conversations spark change, revealing hidden truths about each other, or would they provoke conflicts neither of them was ready to face? As they drove home, the silence of their surroundings contrasted sharply with the whirlwind of thoughts swirling in Sarah's mind. Each moment from the seminar replayed like highlights from a captivating film, but the underlying tension grew heavier. Sarah glanced at Lily, who was peering thoughtfully out the window, lost in her own reverie. "Mom," Lily finally said, breaking the silence, "what are we really trying to accomplish with this new approach?" Her voice was calm but probing, a reminder of the stakes. Sarah took a breath, the weight of the question pressing against her chest. "I'm not sure, Lily. Maybe it's about understanding not just herbs, but healing itself in a more holistic way. For both of us." The sincerity in her words struck a chord she and T realized was fragile. Is this about blending traditions? Or is it about finding an entirely new path? Lily pressed. The eagerness in her tone sparked a flicker of hope within Sarah, but it was also unsettling. Each question danced on the edge of a new frontier, one where they could both discover uncharted territory in their relationship. Cruising along familiar streets that now felt foreign, Sarah grappled with her past of unwavering adherence to tradition. She had always viewed change with caution, believing in the sanctity of long-held truths. Yet the exploration at the seminar had awakened a courageous curiosity she could no longer ignore. "Maybe we can start with a project. Something tangible," Sarah proposed, her mind racing with possibilities. "What if we conducted our own experiments, studying the effects of those beliefs on ourselves and others?" The idea was spontaneous, almost reckless, but it held a certain allure. Lily turned toward her with wide eyes, a spark igniting between them. Like a blog? We could share our discoveries and get feedback. The concept thrilled Sarah, yet it also filled her with trepidation. Was she ready to share this journey publicly? The repercussions could lead them to confront criticisms she had skillfully avoided for years. Still, the thought of collaborating with her daughter, of capturing their evolving philosophies, was a powerful incentive. Her instinct wavered between fear and excitement. This could be a chance to explore how belief shapes healing while inviting others into the conversation, Sarah mused, although doubts surged. What if their exploration opened up wounds she wasn't prepared to heal? Or what if it alienated them from those entrenched in the traditional practices she held dear? As they pulled into the driveway, Sarah glanced at the house, a place where many of her practices had remained unchallenged. Would this newfound dialogue reshape what it meant to be both a practitioner and a mother? They stepped inside, and the ordinary sights of home contrasted sharply with the extraordinary possibilities their discussion had unveiled. The air felt charged with potential, as though they were on the cusp of an enlightening expedition. Can we get started right away? Lily's eagerness radiated, her youthful energy propelling her forward. Let us take it one step at a time, Sarah responded. But inside, she recognized the truth. They were already well beyond mere steps. They were on a tightrope between the past and an uncertain future. Each endeavor would call into question her values, her beliefs, and her relationship with Lily. The prospect of embarking on this project filled Sarah with exhilaration and trepidation in equal measure. What untapped insights awaited them? What conflicts would inevitably arise as they pulled at the threads of their understanding? As they unpacked the ideas from the seminar together, Sarah couldn't help but feel a blend of hope and anxiety. She ventured into uncharted waters, aware that the journey ahead would demand both courage and resilience. Are you ready for what is next? Sarah asked, more to herself than to Lily. The question lingered in the air, heavy with implication. I think so, Mom, Lily replied, her voice steady yet filled with the uncertainty of youth. Are you? They stood. At the threshold of discovery, the future an open door. Would they find the answers they sought, or would the exploration challenge the very fabric of their relationship? The journey into the unknown had officially begun, and Sarah could hardly contain the curiosity surging within. But as she closed her eyes for a brief moment, half expectant of the future, she felt a rush of disquiet. What darkness loomed on the other side of this experiment in bonding? As the evening settled in, Sarah found herself unable to articulate the thrill coursing through her veins. The walls of their home, often a sanctuary of comfort, now felt suffocatingly confining. She needed space to breathe, to think. How about we start brainstorming on our porch? Lily nodded enthusiastically, following her mother outside. The cool evening air contrasted starkly with the heated chaos of her thoughts. Sarah settled into a familiar rocking chair and began sketching ideas in the notebook resting on her lap. It felt tangible, grounding, yet the swirling uncertainty thrummed just beneath her skin. What should we call the blog? Lily asked, pacing back and forth with an excited bounce. Maybe something that reflects both our journey and the healing process, Sarah suggested, her voice steadier than her heart. She continued brainstorming, jotting down phrases, roots of healing, herbal dialogues, tradition meets transformation. Each title evoked competing emotions, enthusiasm tainted with fear. What if we included personal stories, like anecdotes from our practices? That way it won't just be about principles. It'll be about us, Lily chimed in, tilting her head in thought. Sarah raised an eyebrow. That idea had potential. Unfiltered stories could bridge their personal experiences and their evolving philosophies. Yet, sharing personal stories seemed vulnerable, exposing them to judgment. Would others accept their tale, or would it provoke dissent from the purists entrenched in tradition? Let us write our first post-draft together, Lily proposed, her eyes glinting with determination. With a deep breath, Sarah nodded, partly uncertain but mostly eager to forge this connection through the written word. As they sketched out their ideas and stories, Sarah noticed how the narrative ebbed and flowed, revealing not just their experiences, but also the fears they harbored about stepping into an unfamiliar domain. Maybe we could start with a healing experience we had, Like when we drove to that remote herb shop a year ago, Sarah suggested, recalling how they had wandered so far in search of rare plants, bonding over nature's untamed beauty. Lily grinned. Exactly. We can show how that journey opened us to new philosophies. The creativity flowed freely between them, and Sarah felt a sense of warmth filling the space, reminiscent of days where they shared laughter without hesitance. As they poured their thoughts into words, doubts would occasionally creep in. What if their story was not enough? What if their experiments yielded disappointing results? Or worse, the scrutiny of critics. Each sentence bore the weight of uncertainty, but also the hope for something profoundly transformative. Mom, Lily said after a pause, her voice softening. What if we don't have all the answers? What if this journey shows us things we never wanted to confront? I suppose that's the risk we take, Sarah replied, the honesty of her voice surprising her. But isn't growth about confronting those fears? If we avoid uncomfortable questions, we'll never find the true essence of our healing. Lily nodded slowly. The night deepened around them, stars twinkling brightly like potential possibilities, yet shadows loomed within Sarah's heart. The confrontation with their past practices, their beliefs built on tradition, was inevitable. Would nurturing this new venture imply a betrayal of everything they'd known? As they finalized their plan, Sarah felt an unsettling mix of exhilaration and dread, realizing the magnitude of the shift they were initiating not just in their work, but in their relationship as mother and daughter. Are you ready for this? Sarah asked, the question now a deeper echo of concern. Lily's unyielding enthusiasm met her gaze. I am. But we need to stay open-minded, right? Completely. Sarah's voice trembled. But can you promise to be honest about how you feel? If this becomes too much, she trailed off, focusing on the depth of their commitment to each other and their project. Agreed, Mom. We'll navigate it together, Lily said, her confidence unwavering. Yet as they prepared for their first post, Sarah felt a haunting reminder of what lay ahead. Each revelation could reshape not only their work, but their very dynamic. More importantly, could they transcend generations of belief and emerge whole? The first step was penning their story, but the deeper journey had just begun. A resolve began to form within her. Could vulnerability truly lead to empowerment? And at that moment, Sarah knew, the next words they wrote might redefine their entire narrative. Would she discern the unexpected, or would the darkness once feared reach out from the past to shadow their newfound light? The weeks that followed the seminar were a whirlwind of late nights, shared ideas, and laughter that reverberated through their home. Sarah and Lily poured their hearts into their blog, Roots of Healing. Each post became an exploration of their evolving perspectives on healing, intertwining personal stories with insights gleaned from others. The excitement of collaboration was infectious, and Sarah found herself less weighed down by doubt and more buoyed by possibility. As the blog began to gain traction, the comments section filled with appreciation and curiosity. Readers resonated with their blend of tradition and modernity, sharing their own stories of embracing alternative remedies. Sarah's heart swelled with pride both for her own growth and for the budding relationship with Lily. Yet, amid the triumphs, challenges loomed. They were invited to speak at community health fairs, presenting their philosophy of holistic healing. Public speaking, the very stage that had once instilled paralyzing fear, in Sarah now stood as an opportunity for connection and advocacy. However, as the dates drew closer, Sarah felt trepidation ripple through her veins. What if they faced backlash from the medical community? Would Mark's skeptical voice return, forcing her back to that anxious precipice? Lily seemed unfazed by the potential scrutiny. Mom, we're not asking anyone to abandon their beliefs. We're simply sharing our journey. If anything, this gives us a chance to challenge narrow-mindedness, she asserted, her youthful confidence lifting Sarah's spirits. On the day of their first speaking engagement, Sarah's palms were clammy, and her heart raced as they stood backstage. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of how far they'd come from doubt and disconnection to this moment of growth and recognition. Lily squeezed her hand, grounding her. We've got this, Mom. Together. As they stepped onto the stage, the auditorium filled with curious faces, Sarah felt a tremor of anxiety, but also a surge of empowering energy. The lights shone bright, illuminating both their fears and aspirations. Thank you for having us, she began, her voice steadier than she anticipated. Today, we want to share how embracing our roots can provide modern pathways to healing. Lily chimed in, infusing their presentation with her enthusiasm and insights. Together, they navigated through a tapestry of ideas, embracing laughter and vulnerability as they shared their personal growth stories, overcoming emotional barriers and redefining their beliefs. The audience leaned in, engaged by their authenticity and relatability. As they wrapped up, the applause was thunderous. Sarah felt an exhilarating rush of accomplishment and recognition. Her voice had transformed from an echo of uncertainty to a resonant anthem of empowerment. Lily grinned at her, the bright connection between them now transcending the stage. At that moment, Sarah realized something profound. Success wasn't just measured by metrics or audience applause. It was rooted in the authenticity of their journey, in the courage to adapt, and, most importantly, in the bond that was reformed between mother and daughter. Their story began to ripple beyond their immediate community, becoming a source of inspiration for others seeking that same balance of tradition and modern healing. Incrementally, Sarah found her confidence solidifying. She was a nurse embracing her legacy, a mother healing her relationship with her daughter, and a woman embodying transformation at last. Months later, as they sat together in the same cozy kitchen where their journey began, laughter bubbled between sips of ginger tea. The kitchen was filled with the familiar aroma, reminiscent of their roots. "What is the next step?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, both about their growth and future endeavors. With a newfound sense of certainty, Sarah replied, "We need to write a book, something that encapsulates all we've learned and experienced. Our journey deserves to be shared with a wider audience." Lily's excitement was palpable. "That's a brilliant idea. We could gather more stories, expand our ideas, and even incorporate those testimonials we've collected." As Sarah initiated plans for the book, the urgency of her professional life transformed into depth and purpose, solidifying her position as a voice in the conversation of healing. No longer merely surviving her roles, she was thriving, recognized for her competence while honoring the complexity of her heritage. In that moment, Sarah appreciated the remarkable arc of her transformation. Once shadowed by anxiety, she now stood with solid confidence and unwavering resolve. The weight of societal judgment had lifted, replaced by the recognition of her own worth and insight. As for Lily, she had not only embraced her mother's philosophy, but was also becoming a beacon of hope for peers navigating the chaotic waters of adolescence. Together, they had conquered uncertainty and emerged empowered, an unstoppable duo destined for impactful futures. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow throughout their home, Sarah smiled, a deep sense of fulfillment settling within her. She had achieved what she once thought impossible: a thriving relationship with her daughter, a pursuit of professional integrity, and a fervent voice in the narrative of healing. To those reading their story, she now understood. Hope, resilience, and authenticity were the root secrets to true transformation. And in that realization, she felt invigorated, infused with a passionate desire to share her journey and light the way for others, all initiating from the simple power of ginger tea. Now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click matters. Comment below with your reactions and theories about this incredible ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this conclusion and embrace their own journeys. Your support can ignite change.